Hello, I'm excited to do a new interview. I am with the creative genius. He is an instrument designer and a musician. He is Chas Smith and he is with me. So hello Chas, how are you?
Oh, not too bad. How about yourself?
I'm great and I'm excited to do this interview with you.
Thank you. I'm a little embarrassed, but I'll be fine.
Who are you according to you?
Who am I?
Yes.
That's one of those existential questions that
Yes, but
could be anything. Quite simply, I'm a professional welder. I'm a professional guitar player, and I've spent my life making things, and sometimes they're music and sometimes they're metal objects, and that's how I see who I am and my purpose.
I would love to know, because a lot of people in the world have dreams, and a lot of them believe that they cannot achieve what they dream because their parents told them some things.
Well, you're letting people tell you what to do. And if you're willing to, if it's your life. I mean, everybody knows this. I mean, yeah, it's your life. If you're letting somebody else tell you what to do with it, then you bear the consequences. That's your decision. So you have to take your own life. But keep in mind that whatever you do is going to have consequences. You know, you do this over here, you forget this over here. You do this over here, you don't get this over here. You spend your life doing music and stuff like that. You may not have any income for your later years, for your retirement. What are you going to do? So that's, you have to think about those things.
Did you have some fear about not having income at the beginning?
One of my friends' daughter quit college, wanted to go to art school. And he was horrified. How you can make a living, as an artist? And he and I were talking about it. I said, well, okay, we don't have any security in the companies that we work for anyway. We're basically disposable labor. So if she's doing something that she loves to do, she may not need to have a lot of money to buy all of the distractions to compensate for the job that she hates. So maybe it won't be so bad, especially if she's doing something that she loves to do. But again, you choose what you want to do, and you have to look at, you have to be serious. I haven't really thought about this, so let's say. You have to know about the direction that you're taking. I mean, what are the problems that you're going to encounter? If you have a hard time making a decent living, you got to pay for all the incidental stuff, and then as the years go by, you're going to be confronted with medical issues, and will you have to pay for that stuff? And so, maybe you do art and something else. And one of the advantages of doing that, I do music and I do welding, metal fabrication. And one of them becomes the vacation from the other. Now, I've had, just working on my own stuff, back in the days when I actually made a decent living, I could take 6 weeks off and compose something, or 12 weeks off and compose something, and because I didn't have a lot of expenses back then. And what would happen is after the first, say 4 weeks or 5 weeks, I've been working in my studio 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day sometimes, and then I start going nuts, and I got to go do something else. And, I just go out into the shop and I'll make something. And so they kind of complement each other, So I'm in the shop, I can work on this until I've had it, okay, now I can go back and do this. And so that's, if you have 2 things or 3 things or multiple things to work as distractions on each other or relief from each other, that's not so bad.
Cool. What made you such a creative musician?
I don't really think of myself in those terms.
Because I saw I watched your instruments. It's amazing. Did you study some mathematics? How do you do to create that?
Back when I was in school, I'm from the era that didn't have the internet, okay? And then now that you have the internet, everything's like right there at your fingertips, literally, But back then, I didn't have access to that. And so when I came out to school in 1972, that's when I learned about Harry Partch. And Harry Partch, back in the 1923, 25, somewhere around there, was tired of music. people keep going to concerts, listening to the same things over and over again, over and over again, and he wanted to do something different. And he wanted to use a more complicated scale. Now, we all listen to, like, think about the piano, which is, 12-note scales, linear repetitive pattern of 12-note scales. And most of the music that we listen to is based on what are called 8-tone harmonies. Okay, turn on the radio, that's what you're listening to. Sit in an elevator, that's what you're listening to. Go in here, that's what you're listening to. That's what you're listening to over here. So we're surrounded by it, we're immersed in it. And he wanted to do something different. So he developed a scale that had 43 tones. So instead of 12 notes, there's 43 notes in there. So there's a very close, they're in this close space together. And this is like 1923, 1925, okay? So, there's no internet. I mean, I'm not even sure he had a radio or, might have had a record player, but I don't even know about that back then. So he developed this scale, but the instruments at the time couldn't play that scale. So he had to develop his own instruments to play that scale. And then, if he's going to have other players, he has to develop a notation system to tell him what to do to how to play what he wants. Okay, this is a guy who built his musical world from the ground up, literally. So I look at that, and I'm an old New England, I come from an old New England boy, and we like to be in control of everything in our lives, and I like to be in control of everything in my life, being a control freak. And so I want to build my musical world from the ground up also, but also, and I've had the advantage of looking to see what he did and go, there. And there's another guy, Harry Bertoia.
It was like a source of inspiration for you.
Yes. And you look at Harry Bertoia, who did sound sculptures. And he didn't care about being famous. He just wanted to make sculptures and make art and make that kind of stuff. It's kind of like, I'm looking at him and I'm going, oh, is that different from the way things are now? So, and when I first came out here, I used to go to all the the galleries, and one of the galleries was I think it was Lace Galleries over on Robertson at that time, and they had some of Harry Bertoia's sculptures in there, rod and plate instrument things, and they let you play them. And so I'd go in there and I'd play with these things, and I just got seduced by the whole thing. So if you look at the things that I build, they're mostly based on rods and plates. Thank you, Harry. I got it all from him. So again, it's about me creating my own world from the ground up. I mean, and to the point where I built my own studio from the ground up. I mean, I had help with the original framing, and I contracted the slab and I contracted the stucco, but everything else I did. And it's all about being fully responsible for the world around me and the world that I live in and what my life is about.
Do you imagine what you want, or do you make a lot of experiences and?
All of the above. The thing is that, I don't need to reinvent the wheel. Somebody else did invent the wheel. I want to look over his shoulder and see, you solved all the problems. How did you do that? On other things, I have to solve all the problems. I have to figure it out. And part of the I'm not going to say the joy in my life, but okay. I was just recently in a conversation about television and the world that we live in now, with all of the information and really the ubiquitous trivia that we're surrounded by. Everywhere you look, there's images. Everywhere you look, there's this. Everywhere you look, there's that. And you almost can't get away from it. Okay, so back 1973, I was watching the Watergate hearing. I got a thumb stuck in a sander at the end of my piano career. And so I was whacked on bourbon and I think it was codeine, some stupid thing like that. And I was watching the Watergate hearings on TV. And I spent the whole summer watching this, and then when it was over, I smashed the TV and I never had another one. And so we were talking about that, about how the TV basically captures your brain. And what I do is that, okay, I have a project that I'm working on now, that some recording stuff I'm working on. And I don't know what I'm going to do. And I've got to have it done within a month, because I'm working for somebody. And so it's like, so what I do at the end of the day, with whatever it is I'm working on, I have a problem with, I'll think about whatever it is, or on this one, I'm listening to it, what they want me to copy over and over and over again, because when I sleep at night, all night long, it's basically you're programming your own brain. Yes. And I'm programming my brain to work on the problem all night long, and when I wake up in the morning, maybe I get an answer, maybe I don't. but it's like it's using the brain work for me rather than against me.
So do you advise that for everyone, just to, before to go to the night?
Everybody that I know that does what I do, design things and build things, that kind of stuff, we all do the same stuff. We all do the same technique. And when I used to be in school, I used to talk about people, they'd be working on a piece of music or something like that, and they'd get up at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning and go, I should have been an F sharp, and they go down and they put in the F sharp and that kind of stuff, and then they go back to sleep. And that's where I picked it up, from watching what those people were doing. So, and it worked for me too.
What kind of company or people wants to work with you?
Well, my previous employer, and I don't work for him anymore, but when I did, and he said, I want to hire you on full time, And we were talking about that. How do I feel about it? And I said, look, I want to spend the rest. I'm up in the age group now. I'm up in the 6th decade, and I want to spend the rest of my life making art. And I don't care if it's mine or yours. I just want to make art. I want to be able to make mine too, of course. But that's really what I want my life to be about, is making art. And so the people that I've worked for are, I just got a call with Nancy Rubens, who I've worked for, 25 years, working on her sculptures. And I build armatures for her, and now I'm building models of her sculptures, because there are things that gotten out of my scale, too big now, and stuff. I've spent, a long time working for Paul McCarthy, doing art for him. He's very popular in Paris with the butt plugs and stuff. And then I did a little bit of work for Chris Burden. I did some work for Mike Kelly. And way back, I worked for Jonathan Borofsky on the first Hammering Men and that kind of stuff. And I love it. I absolutely love it.
What is the benefits for them to work with you? Now we have computers and things like that.
Well, there's a whole thing with appropriation. I mean, here's the thing, is that the people that hire me, you've got to have something built. Mostly it's welded, or it's metal work, because that's what I'm particularly good at. So you hire me you describe what you want. When I first, down at MoCA, one of Nancy's sculptures is this big sculpture made out of airplane junk in the courtyard. And if you haven't seen it, you want to go see it. And we were talking about what she wanted to do. It was originally going to be in Gagosian Gallery in Beverly Hills. And so my job is to do the armature that makes that happen. That's what I do. And so we're in the gallery, and she's describing where it's about the shape of the gallery. So we're looking around the gallery, she goes, okay, it's going to be over here. And this way, I get a tape measure out, and I put it 20 feet, and like that. And over here, it's going to be 12 feet tall, and they're 12 feet tall. Over here, it's going to be 15 feet tall, 15 feet tall. Over here, it's going to wrap around the lights. Okay, it'll be going by the lights, and then over here, it's going to do. So she describes what this thing is going to be. Now, my job is to imagine what it's going to take to hold it up. And on this one, the ones that we did before that, my pieces would bolt together to make the shape, and then they put all the stuff on it and wire it all in. On this one, because there's going to be so much stuff on it, you weren't going to be able to get bolts in there. So my job, so I kind of, okay, so we'll do male-female parts, the whole thing. So what's holding it together is gravity. So I have to design something that will work like that.
And do you have the vision immediately? Or?
I'm good at visualizing. See, one of the things that we were going to talk about is how do you turn the shit in your life to work for you. Okay, we'll leave this. So this grows out of that. Okay. Now, the point being is that everybody has stuff that happens in their life that they go, oh, that's terrible, oh, that's bad, oh, I'm filled with anger, I'm filled with this, I got hate, whatever it is, and it works against you. How do you make it work for you? Now, and that's not easy. It's easy for me to sit here and say, oh, you can make your problems work for you, and you can go, yeah, I've got my head up my ass, because I probably do. But the reality is, okay, I grew up in a very abusive environment, which I'm not going to talk about. But part of that is, because it was so unpleasant, I would imagine being somewhere else. I would visualize being somewhere else. And I developed a very successful way of getting out of there, not being there. Now, the downside of that too is it turns into ADD, or attention deficit stuff. So hey, you over there? Huh? Oh, me? That kind of stuff. But the reality is, it's about learning how to visualize something else other than where I am. And then one thing led to another, and then I wanted to build things. So, build things, okay, fast forward. I kept getting thrown out of high schools because I had a bad attitude and I was a juvenile delinquent. And I got thrown out of 4 high schools. And and in the last high school, my 5th year, 5 years of high school, you know, I didn't get shit for an education. But my last year, I'm running out of things to take. It's like, oh, what do I take? Oh, God. So I wanted to take home ec, because that's where all the girls were, but they suspected that I had an ulterior motive, so they wouldn't let me do that. I did take typing, but I took shop. Shop, okay, so I'm in the shop. And woodwork, kind of, no. Then we were doing metal work. And all of a sudden, it's like, oh, it feels right. And cutting torch and welding this with a torch, you know, and doing it just felt right. Now, fast forward a bunch of years, my grandmother was the family genealogist, and we're looking back through the genealogy of the history of the family, and there are blacksmiths that go all the way back. My father's father was a blacksmith. His father was a blacksmith. There are blacksmiths that go back to the 17th century that we can find, trace. So, I tapped into something genetic, or something inside me, I think. And that led to, so I mean, I got out of the shop, I'm in high school, you know, and I'm welding mufflers on cars and straight pipes and all that kind of shit. And I've been doing metalwork ever since. To me, it feels right. Yes, I can do woodwork, but I'm not comfortable with it. Metalwork, I feel comfortable with it.
Do you think everyone have to find this kind of zone where we are good at it easily?
It's so much more common, because here's the thing: how distracted are you? Are you watching? I know people that watch TV almost all day long. They're stuck, toned in. They watch the internet all day long. It's all about how to getting out of your life, getting away from your life, you know. Or maybe you're looking for answers, but you're looking for answers in there rather than creating your own answers. But maybe the answers are in there. I don't know. But the thing about it is that one of the discussions that came up, they were talking about we're surrounded by imagery. Okay, everywhere we look, there's imagery. And they were talking about how because we are so surrounded by it, we don't develop our own ways of doing our imagery ourselves. You know, it takes away our skills.
Okay, because it's easy to look at it, we don't develop
it's all around you. You can't get away from it. Okay. Literally. I mean, I had to turn off the computer. It's just like, because I get seduced. You know, I'm over there looking at Facebook, who's doing what, you know, there's like this and that, and there's a fun meme over here, and there's a video over here, and the beauty of it is, like, you know, YouTube, I can see things that I would never have been able to see before. You know, I mean, where I grew up, this is, you know, back in the 50s, the radio station, I'm up in Massachusetts, the radio stations did not play colored music. I had no idea what R&B was. I had no idea about this wealth of resource of music that was here, and I couldn't hear it. I didn't even know it was there. I had to wait till the Rolling Stones put Out of Our Heads, what is that, 63 or whatever it was, you know, which is all covers of R&B. So a bunch of white British guys had to teach me about my own culture in my own country. What the fuck is that about? Okay, so this is what was out there. I don't know how we get into that, but, you know. So that was it. So anyway, the long and the short of it, what were we talking about?
Yes, I would like to come back on imagination.
Imagination, yeah. How do you learn stuff? How do you tap into it?
Yes, how can we develop our imagination?
At the time, it was not a conscious, I'm going to go do this. It was a response. It was a save myself response. You know, it was like, you know, it was. I thought I was in like a life-threatening, you know, environment. Now I wasn't really, but I thought I was. You know, and so this is all what I had to do to survive, yes, according to the way that I thought it was. You know, until I could get out of there.
Yes. So to come back on the question, how do you channel your shit for you?
Yeah.
So to summarize, you imagine yourself in another place. if we have
No, I just
like
automatically,
steps.
I just zone out from where I am to somewhere else. I mean, everybody does that to some degree,
Yes.
you know, and it's just like, it's just, I mean, I did it also. But I was also able to visualize things and design things in my head. You know, it was so, I don't know where that comes from. That's just the way it was. You know?
Okay. And do you create when you feel, for example, anger?
Do I create with it? Absolutely. Yeah,
So
because
every emotion
well,
can
everybody
be.
has anger. Well, everybody that I've ever met has anger, or almost everybody I've ever met has anger. What do you do with it? You know, I have a very, very, very close friend that all the anger is inside her, eating up her stomach. You know, eating up, you know, this and that. It's just, you know, it's working against you, and it works against me too. I mean, I've done all kinds of stupid things, but over the years, I've used the anger as a motivation. So, and it's almost something as simple as like, oh, you thought I couldn't do it? Well, fuck you, watch this. Oh, and all of a sudden there's this motivation to make something happen, you know? And it's going to be prettier than yours, so fuck you, it's prettier than yours. What do you think of that, motherfucker? You know? And it's that kind of, so it's that kind of a motivation, you know? And maybe it isn't, but so what? It got you going. You know, you used it work for you than against you. And if you do it long enough, I mean, so one of the advantages that I have is I've been doing this for so long, I'm actually getting pretty good at it. Was I good at it to start with? No. Was the things that I designed way back, 40 years ago great? No, not even close. You wouldn't believe how much shit I made, you know. And it's like we were talking about my instruments. Yeah, those are all the ones that worked. You didn't see the ones that didn't work, and there's a lot of those.
So it's important for the creative process to be willing to fail or to do mistakes.
I've learned more from the fuck-ups and the failures than I ever did from the successes. Kind of go, oh, that worked, okay, that's nice. But there's all of this stuff here, well, that ain't gonna work, and that ain't gonna work, and that ain't gonna work. And what that does is it channels, well, if that isn't gonna work, well, let's head in this direction over here.
Okay, and when you create something that is not so good, what do you say to yourself? Because some people criticize themselves.
Oh, I've been doing it for so long, it's just gonna go, oh, yeah, another one.
Another one next.
Yeah, okay, what's wrong with this one? Okay, well, this part worked, that didn't work, okay. I mean, I have an instrument I'm actually rebuilding now. It's called Adkins, and had a bunch of saw blades with springs and stainless steel flat things, springs, stainless steel flat things, small bolts. They go to a saw blade. Okay, and the idea was I would hit this blade here, the vibration would travel through the spring, go to the next one, and it would all radiate out, and on each one would be different than the other one because of where it had been. So there'd be this collective of sound. Let's see what it sounds like. Well, it didn't work. Okay, and it didn't work for a couple of reasons. One of them, the stress on the metal from the welds. Another one, the vibration didn't have enough stuff to continue it. It got absorbed. Okay, I didn't know that at the time. Now I know it. So I got this big elaborate thing. It's a beautiful instrument, I think, and it doesn't work. It's just sitting there. It sits in my house. So what I'm doing now is I broke a saw blade, a high-speed steel saw blade on my cold saw. That's a few $100s out the window. Oh, I could weld springs around the perimeter of this thing. And I'm a good welder. I've been doing it for, since I was 16.
Do you ask questions to yourself?
Oh yeah. What do I do? Well, I just do it now. It's just like automatic at this point. I don't even think about, well, what if I did this or what if I did? No, you just fucking do it. I can sit there and talk to myself all day long, or I can go out there and actually do the thing. Or I can, It's like, if you're sitting there going, oh, should I? I don't know, should I? Well, okay. if you're in the should I not, well, maybe you shouldn't. Because you've got doubts. Or maybe the doubts are because you can't pull it off. Maybe just go out there and try it anyway, see what the fuck happens.
Yes.
So you make a mistake. What are they going to do? Take away your birthday? No. What can they possibly do to you? Somebody's going to say you're an asshole? You have any idea how many times I've been called an asshole? I mean, and I don't care. It's not, it's not paying my bills. It's not, didn't take away my birthday. What do I care? Fuck you. Watch this too. Wow. So you turn it around.
It's like a feedback loop.
Well, the thing, okay, if you're not paying my bills and we aren't sleeping together, Why do I give a fuck about what you think? I mean, to be honest, you cannot control me. I don't give you my life. You can't tell me what to do. I don't
So
give it to
you
you.
decide who you are, you define who you are.
So, but what?
You define yourself who
Yes,
you are.
and I am not who you think I am. That's your thought. So,
It's great.
that's not who I am. It's your thought. You don't get to tell me who I am. Fuck you. Yeah. So make it work for you. Make it work for you.
Yes.
That's where your strength is.
You can create your own T-shirt with this
Fuck
sentence.
you. Yeah. And you wear that around. Yeah. You ain't gonna make it home tonight. Somebody's gonna pop you. So, I don't know. I lost my train of thought. But back to the instrument. So the long and the short of it. Okay. So I got this broken saw blade. So I'm at a couple $100, and it's a high-speed steel, so it doesn't like to be welded. So it's going to crack and break and snap, which it did. But I went over to the local the supply store and just got a bunch of springs. They had I'll try a couple of these. Oh, get a few of these, couple of these. I just, okay, now what? Okay, well, and I just start welding them on the blade. Now the idea of the blade is that because it's high-speed steel, it's not going to absorb the sound. It's going to radiate the sound, but it doesn't like to be welded. So I have to use a very special welding rod called super missile weld, which is not cheap. And so I made a perimeter of that. Okay, some of the springs worked, some of them didn't. Okay, now what? Well, if I do this, and what if I weld things on the top with screw things? Oh, so I do that. Oh, some of that worked, some of it didn't. And that's how you teach yourself. It's all hands-on training. It's how you learn stuff.
You try, you correct, and again and
Yeah.
again.
Because you can't look that up on Google. Weld springs on Google, huh? What happens if you weld a spring on top of a spring? What does it sound like? No. So you find out on your own. You do it yourself.
Yes. When you create, did you have sometimes a kind of flow? You feel like you don't have to think. It's easy. You create. You have that.
Sometimes everything lines up, and a lot of times it doesn't.
And do you know what is the difference? Do you know how can you create a flow state?
If something isn't happening, something really isn't happening, it's kind of like going, okay, well, what's going on here? What's really going on here? It also has to. God, this gets into views of the world. If you want to get into that. I mean, how do you define yourself? What are you about? What's inside you? Sometimes I'll be walking out the door, and I just think, and I'll walk by a screwdriver, say, and I'll think, screwdriver, yeah. And I walk out the door, and I get out there, and I realize, fuck, there's a loose thing on my car. I need a screwdriver. And so and I'd walk right by, and I didn't pick it up. Now, there's actually things like, I'm working on a job, and I leave a tool that I don't think I'm going to need in the shop, and I drive to the job. And I get to the job and I go, fuck man, I need that tool. So something inside me was telling me, from past experience or whatever it is, don't forget your tool. And I wasn't paying attention to it. Okay, so I wasn't even paying attention to my own self, my own intelligence, if you want to call it that. And this is stuff that everybody has inside them. You have this this intelligence inside you that most people don't plug into, that I'm aware of. I didn't. I certainly didn't. And now I do. So, and how do you do that? I don't know. I can't tell you.
You don't know.
I know I know it works for me, but it's there.
And do you have things you do to help you? For example, putting some music in the background, breathing.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. Do you have something?
Yeah. I mean, look, I like being in a productive and what I think is an artistic environment. I mean, that's where I want to be. I don't want to be in a shithole. Do you? No. And so, I want to hear the music that I like, or the music that I find to be interesting, or something in the background that makes the environment more conducive to want to be in. If you want to be there, well, that's half of it right there. If you don't want to be there, well, what are you going to do now?
Do you feel pain sometimes when you are creating? Because do you feel pain when you pain and pleasure? Do you
yeah.
Yes. Do you feel pain sometimes when you are creating?
You mean I got burned? I burn myself or I hurt myself or like that? Yeah, all the time.
Not, for example, pain like you are not feeling a lot of pleasure, but you continue. Sometimes some artists, they have a kind of
Oh, they're tapping into something that they don't want to look at?
yes, they start to paint, for example, and at the beginning they feel some pain, and after a few minutes they switch and they start to feel the flow or something like that. Do you create sometimes with the kind of pain?
I've spent my whole life working in welding shops, machine shops, and hostile environments. And I'm really good at not feeling anything, because that's how you survive in those places. Now the downside of that means is there's all this good stuff to feel too, and I don't feel that either sometimes. Now what are you going to do? You know?
Okay. I would love to know, because you worked with Hans Zimmer. Hans Zimmer.
Oh yes, yes.
And I would love to know how it was to work with him, and how did you manage?
I like him a lot. He's a good guy. I like him a lot. And way back, oh God, was it 2 or 3 years ago? I've lost track of time. A couple, 3 years ago. So I get a note from Bob Badamy. Bob Badamy's a producer. I've known Badamy since, God, mid-'80s. And get a note from him. Did Hans call you? I go, I run back, I go, why would Hans call me? He goes, oh, you'll see. Okay, so I'm working on something. Next morning, phone rings. Pick it up, it's Hans Zimmer. I go, this is Hans Zimmer. Oh, hi, how are you? What can I do for you? He goes, well, are you busy? I said, well, I'm always busy. You know, what can I do for you? He goes, well, I'm okay. Right now, Batman is coming out this weekend, and I have to think about that. But coming up after that is going to be Man of Steel, Superman. And I go, okay. And he goes, and they're going to shoot it. It's all being shot in the center of the country. Okay, okay. And what could be more American than the pedal steel guitar? And I go, okay, you got my full attention. He said, well, I want to replace the orchestra with pedal steel guitars. And I go, okay, yes. So we talked a little bit about what that would involve. And I said, yeah, I got some other stuff out here you might be interested in. He goes, oh, well, where are you? I said, well, I'm out in the valley. He goes, oh, the valley. Where in the valley? I go, Encino. He goes, well, Encino's not so bad. I said, well, yeah, have you had all your shots? And he goes, yes, and I have a passport. I said, you'll be fine, come on out. So he came out, and he was fun. He was very fun. He was fun to be around. He's very, 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 very bright.
He tried all your instruments?
Oh yeah, we're fucking around with everything. Yeah. and here's the thing is that these guys, they had another famous composer come out a bunch of years ago. They've been in every studio in the world. You walk into my studio, it's kind of like, another fucking studio, big deal. But they go in the machine shop. What does that do? Oh, what does that do? Oh, what does that do? Whole nother world.
It's like a child
right there,
playing.
right there. So working for him was fun, and we got 8 of the local steel guitar players, of the top guys, which is interesting because, okay, there's 8 pedal steel players working on this project. I'm the one that's getting all the publicity, and I'm the weakest player of the bunch. These guys can play circles around me. So it was just like, and I get to hang out with them. What could be better than that? And the thing is that, okay, it's a union gig. We're over at the Eastwood stage over at Warner Brothers. This is a stage that's built for orchestras. The floor radiates the sound back up from the orchestra. And we're in there with pedal steel guitars. And everybody's like, and we're being fed and we're being paid well and the people are nice to us. Just like, this doesn't happen very often. This is unbelievably special. And on the last day, he said, we want to do power chords. 8 pedal steel guitars playing power chords. You go dun, 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 bam, and then there's whang, power chords. The sound in that room was as good as anything you've ever heard. So it was just like, yeah. So did I have a good time? I had a fabulous time. And then I got a call, this is a couple of years ago, for Interstellar. I'm working on a job out at another shop. And I get a call, and Hans said, oh, yeah, man, what's up? He goes, Luciturna. And I go, oh, I know Luciturna, Ligeti, I don't know how to pronounce his name. Luciturna is a piece of music that changed my life, literally. Back in the 60s, okay. Everything's records. You know, you didn't have access to the stuff that you have now. Okay, so I'm in Boston, and we go to Berkeley Music, and there's a great record store nearby, and so we go over there and we listen to records, and then 2001 came out with Ligeti's Luciturna on it, and I heard that, and I went, I want to go that direction. That's where I want to go, you know. So he goes, listen, I said, I know Luciturna. He says, okay, well, do that, do a version of it. So I do a little 6-minute version, and in the bottom of it, you want it all in C, and we get down to the bottom, and I put what's called a Lydian structure, so there's an F sharp in there, you know, because it's a very stable thing at the base, and then everything grows out of that. And he said, no, okay, what I want is you stretch out the front, and then, and it can't have an F sharp in there. I said, okay. And so he said, why'd you put the F sharp in there? Oh, because of the Lydian structure. He goes, okay, we can't have an F sharp in there. So I just redid it where it went down, because we're all in A440, so, because you got, you know, orchestra people, so it has to be in tune. Most of my instruments are not in tune. They're purposely not in tune. There's another story. So we get down there, so I just put on F, put a B natural, there's the Lydian structure, which stays there, and then it grows out of that. And then I deliver that to him, and then he uses that for his stuff. What this is all about, working for Hans, working for the other people I've worked for, working for the artists I work for, is they appropriate my art for their art. That's how it works. And
you like that?
And I'm okay with that, because I get paid. Thank you very much. I'm very okay. Well, it's the same thing as, like, and I've said this before at Artillery. Okay, you're a songwriter, and you call me up and you go, hey, I want you to play on, you know, my thing. I just had a session with a young lady who's a singer-songwriter, and so I play solo and I play on your thing. Okay, you appropriate my art for your art, not my song, your song. My solo, your song, and I'm good with that. That's how it works. So.
In a way, we can say that everything is a kind of remix.
Well, if you can think of it like, well, I need to be this, I need to have, and they should have had me here, and my name should have been in there, you know, or maybe just part of the whole fucking deal and let it go at that, you know, and I'm good with that, you know, and then, you know, what could be better, you know, I don't know, what could be better than that, you know, I actually can think of things that would be better than that, but I'm good with it.
Yes, to finish the interview, do you have a message you want to share to people, to the person who are watching us?
It's your life, and you got to figure it out. And see, it's really easy to make somebody else responsible for you, because then you don't have to take the blame for all of the fuck-ups that you made and all the shit in your life. Because you can be, oh, my mother told me this, or my father, way back, I was in a thing, and the guy was saying, you know, yeah, I fucked up, you know, because your mother told you this, and your father told you that, and society told you this, and the teacher told you that, and you're the stupid shit that believed them.
Okay, so to summarize, we can say that we are responsible.
You just say that, you're the stupid shit that believed them.
We are responsible of our life, and we are free to imagine and design our own life.
Yes, you have to. It's your life.
Thank you.